Hello, this is the Minion Slaughter Podcast. I am your host, Internet Personality Gonzaki. Talk, you bastards.
I am the slaughtered minion, Bulbazak.
I am the unslaughtered minion, Felicity Ryan.
And I'm running around going, woo, pew, 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 my freaking Nerf gun, Eddie Phoenix.
You mean this is different than every other time we do this?
Oh, wait, I think it's an actual Nerf gun and not a euphemism for his dick.
Yes.
I shoot blanks with that too, okay? So, yeah.
Oh.
Hey, at least I'm able to rip on myself, thank you very much.
Whoa. I feel sorry for your potential future girlfriends. Wait. You've never been
Not
laid
coming
before.
anytime soon.
There are days that I feel really, really bad for you, Eddie.
Hey, don't feel bad. Trust me, when she freaking comes along, she's got a freaking whole lot of loving she's gonna be getting.
In your dreams, man, in your dreams.
Hey, it already happens there, thank you very much.
Here's your thing. You keep, your practice with Rosie Palm, and then she won't think that you're a virgin because you'll go too long.
Exactly. And then she's going freaking, I can't walk now. Okay. I'm like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you very much.
Anyway, so Jin and Bulba did not watch the PlayStation announcement session of ridiculously long today, but Eddie and myself have. So we're going to do a little bit of a different podcast. What we're going to do is we're going to explain to them what's going on according to PlayStation, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. So, Eddie, if you want to talk about the highlights in your mind first.
Okay,
Best
the highlights.
minion ever. She takes control.
I want to start with...
Wait, she's a minion? I thought she was like just visiting.
Wow.
I want to start definitely with the Ustream.
Ustream, iStream, we all stream for iStream.
Being able to stream your game live as you're playing it. I know, Bulba, you mentioned that before with the Xbox, having that come with the new system. Well, There you go. You've got it now in the PS4.
Well, maybe in response, Microsoft might actually, pick a stream provider that everybody, uses like Twitch.
If Microsoft does that, it's one of those things where people are going to start...
They pick Justin TV.
Jumping the shark.
Game, set, match.
Yeah. Second highlight for me, Watch Dogs. Oh my god, Watch Dogs.
And that's not Sony exclusive.
Shh, Watch Dogs, they announced it. It's going to the PlayStation 4, so...
It was announced It was announced at E3. What is your problem?
Shh, they announced it for the PS4.
But okay, for Watch Dogs, it wasn't actually announced on exactly what consoles it was going to be on. It said that it would be a cross-console game, but it wasn't said if it was going to be on the 360
it's a cross-console game.
3.
It'll be on the PS3 and the PS4.
It'll be on the PS3, PS4. Looks to be Xbox 360, potentially the new Xbox as well. But we don't know that just yet because Microsoft hasn't announced their new thingy yet. The Wii U, it's already been confirmed for that.
Sweet.
And that's all, folks.
That's your highlights there?
For me,
wow,
yeah.
He wasn't really paying attention, I'm guessing.
There were other things that were shown,
let me
point out
assume some
one
other
monitor
things.
had that on, the other monitor had porn. So what was the highlights of the porn?
No, stop. Let me do my part
right now. Actually, I mean, she is live, so.
Shh, Eddie, stop giving away our secret.
No.
Anyway, so
Isn't
the
that
other
why
thing
you
is
kill
that
minions, Jin?
Shh, hush, Bulba. Jin, get ready with the kill switch. So some other things that were mentioned is the DualShock 4 controller is going to be coming out. The thing with this is they showed it and it's very similar in size, shape, and everything to any of the other PlayStation controllers that have released. But now in the center, there's actually going to be a small touchscreen that you can use. They didn't show much of what it's going to be used for in game, really, but they did showcase it and point out that it will be usable in games. So I guess it's kind of a pending E3, we'll be able to see what comes of that. And then another thing is for people like Jim. hold on one second. People for Jin and I that have a PS Vita, the PS Vita capability to be used with the PlayStation 4 is going to be fantastic. The thing that has me concerned, like all the games that they announced sounded great. Some of the games were a little, yeah, some of the games were beautiful. The sculpting clay with the PlayStation Move dildo, I mean, controller was a little weird, but you know, whatever floats your boat.
That whole dreamscape thing, I mean, no. That's about like five, I'm going to say 5 people are probably going to be using that.
I'll admit that I'd probably play around with it once or twice, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm over it, done. On to the next thing.
Dreamscape?
Sounds like
the
Dead
other
Island.
thing, and I'd like to talk about this and hear everyone's opinions on this, because this was mentioned very
I want to get back to the controller.
We will. Hold on, because we're going to discuss all of these in a second. But the thing that caught my attention, I'm not sure if Eddie also heard this at the beginning, they actually mentioned PlayStation wants to move on to being more than just in your house, but they mentioned bringing it to being a phone. So does this mean they're going to go the way of Microsoft and make a Sony phone that is going to be kind of like the Microsoft Surface, interchangeable with the PlayStation 4?
I got it.
It's like that.
It's going to be the Wii thing. You put the the Wii Move. You put the bulb in your ear, and boom, phone.
I caught that, but it's one of those things to where, for me, it was one of those things to where I was like, okay, so you're going to try to make a phone out of this alongside of being able to take it with you on the go. Sure.
Sony's already got a phone, don't they? It's that little gaming phone thing that kind of looks like a smaller version of the Vita.
Yeah, but they're talking about adding in, like, having it linked up to the PlayStation Network, which is its own can of worms. The last thing I'd like to make note of before we go into discussion and unleash Bulba on everything we've just recapped because he's chomping at the bit is that throughout the entire 2-hour press conference and media show and everything, because they had it all over Twitch and things like that, never did we see a physical console. We saw the controller, so we know that they're working and they have prototypes, but we did not see the console.
Do we actually know that the controller works, though?
No, they did not show that either. So we don't know that the controller works, and we haven't seen the physical console.
So Sony just wasted 2 hours of your life. Yay.
Yeah, they essentially went the route of when Nintendo announced the Wii U. Hey, I actually had to go online and dance around to find out what the actual console looked like, because they're like, hey, new console, and people were just so confused at that point because no one had any clue whether it was a new console or whether it was an extension of the Wii or whatnot. And it looks like Sony's making the same stupid mistake that everybody gigged Nintendo for.
Here's the thing with them not showing it. This is just a personal opinion of mine because of seeing so many things like this have happened with a few consoles in the past, but mainly with games, until I see physical evidence that it exists. So seeing a prototype of the console, seeing a prototype of the controller, seeing video game footage, I don't believe a release date until I've actually seen the physical item. Hopefully at E3, we'll get to see that, but we don't know. So before we launch off into this, the tentative release date that they've said is holiday 2013, which means usually sometime right before Black Friday is usually when most consoles come out. That's what the Wii U did this year. Xbox and PlayStation 3, that's what they did. So let's open it up. Which one do you guys want to talk about first?
Wait. I got a couple more things.
Oh my
God.
God.
Why didn't you say the dirt your section?
Because I decided to just go with things that were like, okay, 1, 2. Okay, here's the thing. They also made mention of no backwards compatibility. So that means
Wrong.
you can't
Bye-bye.
take your PS3
Thanks for playing, Sony.
Yeah, they did. They said you can't put your PS3 disc in and use that. So that's a really big strike against them for me. Because if you would have said backwards compatibility with the PS3 without having to, because I know Jim's gonna jump up and say something when it comes to this. if you had said it with the physical discs, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have been on board right from the start. Secondly, the Blizzard team up with Sony to bring Diablo 3 to the PS4 and PS3, bad idea on Blizzard's part. Diablo 3, as most people know,
was our whipping boy last year.
Was our whipping boy last year when we started the Midnight Gaming Podcast before we moved into the gaming booth. So there was that. And then with the controller, I'm going to say that because I remember them saying that you can share a clip of the game as you are playing. You go, take the clip, upload it, and then you can go right back to your game. Also, as you're downloading a game from a digital store to your console, you can play the game as it is downloading. It'll be downloading in the background, and you can be playing the game as you are downloading it. That part caught my eye big time.
Just to make a note on that one real quick, that's probably like, for example, the Diablo 3 on the PC. There's a point when it gets to the install where it says playable. And it's like, it's step 1 is just install, and then it gets playable, and then it goes to the final step, which is just complete. So they may do something like that.
That, or they're doing the streaming idea where while it's downloading, you're playing it on their PC and they are on their PS3 server, and then streaming you the video.
Yes, which also could cause problems, because what if a bunch of people are downloading that same item? Are they going to have enough space on their servers to be able to withstand, hundreds, potentially thousands of people downloading the same item at the same time and playing it?
I would hope so. If it's going to be a permanent feature, then I don't see a reason for them not to stress test it early and make sure that it can stand up. Because I can understand things like Diablo 3 and like MMOs that have their servers crash because they are not going to keep servers for the initial bit with everyone logging in and playing at the same time, because they're not going to need the servers. But the PS4 system is going to need the servers, so they're probably going to have them.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah. If they make that mistake, ooh boy, will we be the first to tell you.
Oh yeah. Okay, so now Bubba gets to have his chance at going. Nah, so go.
What? I'm sorry. You guys were all over the place, so I lost interest and started mining obsidian.
And this is why we don't play Minecraft while doing the podcast.
Obsidian.
All right, so Bulba's entire argument has been rendered invalid. Jin, how's it going?
My hair is an airplane. No, my big thing is we haven't seen a console. So at the moment, all of this is just vaporware for me, because I understand that they don't want to show us a console for many reasons. They could be wanting to wait for E3 so they actually have something to talk about at E3. Or they might not have just nailed down what they want the final design to look like, and they don't want to just shove out a prototype. As for the controller, it looked fine. It looked like they just tacked on the new technology they made for the Vita, which is okay.
Wait.
I've only seen screenshots from this thing. So
that's pretty much all we saw too. So
exactly. So ultimately, this was 2 hours of wasted time. Though again, that Diablo 3 thing makes me laugh, because it makes me wonder if they're going to do the always on thing they did with the PC version. Because if they don't do it, then it's going to piss the PC players off, because then they can no longer say it was a feature of the game, because that's what they were saying. It's not DRM, it's a feature. It's a feature. And their feature turned out to be a big load of bullshit.
Okay, so I also want to ask...
Anyway, controller, since Jen mentioned it. It's essentially the same thing as what you're saying. So it's like, hey guys, look.
It's been because they also showed a sensor.
It has a screen in the middle. That's the only upgrade.
Was that a screen though? That looked more like a touchpad.
It's
Like
a
the one on the
touchpad.
yeah, that,
It's
like
a
the back of
touchpad.
the
It's a touch screen.
It's a
touch
touchscreen on the
pad.
front, and they have a
Because I didn't
touchscreen
see
on
it
the back of the
display
controller.
anything. It looks like the little thing on the back of the Vita.
Yeah, they have one of those as well on the back of the controller.
They have two. So again, taking Vita technology and applying it, not a bad idea. Though they did talk about, and we talked about a month ago, they said we're not going to be using the DualShock design anymore. What happened to that, Sony?
They
You're trying to
can't
turn us
not,
into liars?
They can't
How
not
about
make a PlayStation controller without the DualShock. They just can't not do it.
Well, they
I
made the
was gonna say,
6-axis controller. Boosh.
And they
how
brought
about the fact that in general, if we're going to talk about, you said so many months ago they said that the PlayStation 3 was built to be a 10-year long console. This year is year 7. There should be 3 more years before a new console was announced.
Well, that and there's no such thing as a 10-year long console. It's just a stupid idea, because to make a 10-year long console, you would have to have technology that is state of the art out of the box, as in technology you can't buy at the moment, and that would be expensive as hell, and that's just not the way things go. Once you get a console out of the box, it's probably been obsolete for a couple of months.
But here's the thing. When I think of the Xbox and the PlayStation 3, I think both of them still have some time on them. At least another year. At least. Like, they could be doing this announcement 2014, release for winter of 2014, and it would be fine.
Because I think right now, the PS3 and the 360 continuing this console generation is holding the entirety of the gaming industry back in this generation. Like PC, especially PC gaming fans at the moment, have the right to be mad that they have to play subpar games because game developers can't afford to develop for the PS3 and the 360 and then make a PC version that's better. That is, or well, as good as it should be for a state-of-the-art PC at the moment. So I would like them to have another year on them, but they're holding us back. We have to cut the cord and catapult forward.
Okay, hold on. Let me read off the tech specs of the PlayStation 4 that were announced today.
Please do.
Ouch.
So, it has a single chip custom processor, CPU, it's the x86 AMD Jaguar 8 cores, a GPU 1.84.
What's the clock speed on that?
It doesn't, it says 86-64. That's all it says.
I'll have to look into that.
GPU is 1.84 T-flops, AMD next generation Radeon based graphics engine. The memory is GDDR5 8 gigs. There's a hard disk drive that is built in, doesn't say how much. Optical drive is going to be a Blu-ray 6 times, DVD 8 times. The let's see. So super speed USB, so USB 3.0. It's going to have Ethernet and wireless and Bluetooth capabilities, and then it's going to have HDMI, analog AV, and digital output available for AV outputs. Now, here's the thing with some of the tech specs. It seems that some of them are slightly underpowered, in my opinion, depending on what this AMD next generation Radeon based graphics engine is going to be.
Well, the problem I have with it is it's Radeon. I'm big on NVIDIA, not specifically because I'm a fanboy or anything, but just because in the past Radeon graphics have disappointed. I think the best console I've played with Radeon was the GameCube.
Also, they mentioned something that was 8 gigabytes. I remember.
Yeah, I mentioned that it's 8 gigs of GDDR5.
Okay.
RAM.
So that's built in. So
yeah, this sounds like it would be moderately powerful by today's standards. So yeah, if this gets out in the next year or so, I see this allowing us to move forward and get back to where we should be.
Yeah,
I
my
wanted to
only
talk
thing.
about what Eddie mentioned though with uh,
What about the
the,
controller? I had a joke.
then make your damn joke.
I did. You went on a tirade.
Okay, done.
Moving onward.
Moving on.
Joke's done now. I can't even say the
Joke's
joke.
dead.
Joke's dead. Didn't kill my joke.
Jen killed comedy. Comedy doesn't exist anymore. Get back to your mining. But the idea of no backwards compatibility unless you buy the game. My initial thought on that was that it was an idea of stopping you from buying used PS3 games to make the best of your PS4. But that idea kind of gets kicked in the head when you think it this way. That's the only way you'll be able to buy PS3 games. They're not going to continue printing them so you can buy them brand new. So the I can think of several reasons. A, they just don't feel they can put in the technology, or B, they want to make an extra buck off of you. And Occam's razor, I'm going to go with they want to make an extra buck off of you.
I was gonna say
Yep.
make the extra buck because it's one of those things to where with Sony, they originally
Sony.
with their PS3, they had the backwards compatibility in. They took it out because they said it cost them too much money to have it in, to have it backwards compatible from the PS3 to the PS2 to the PS1. I call bullshit.
Well, the thing with the PS3 is like, okay, PS1 or whatever, at least make it backwards compatible with your last system. That was the whole thing that really sold the PS2 was not only did it have good games, but it was backwards compatible with the PS1.
Mm-hmm.
With the PS4, I was not expecting the PS4 to be backwards compatible with the PS2 and the PS1 because I have my PS2 for that. But I at least wanted to be backwards compatible with the PS3 because that for me and for a lot of people that would be the big selling point. Not only would they would buy the PS4 to catch up on PS3 games that they did not buy this console generation, but then because they have the PS4 they'd also be buying PS4 games. Sony just cost itself, in my opinion, the next console generation.
Potentially, it depends on what Microsoft shows with their console because there's still Microsoft to go, and if Microsoft makes any remote mention of no used games, or if Sony makes mention of no used game sales, one of those companies is going dead in the water right from the gate.
But yeah, thinking crap, brain fart.
Thinking crap, brain fart.
But yeah, you're right on the Sony needing the backwards compatibility because that's the whole theory behind early adoption is you make it not painful to switch over because a lot of people have to trade in to afford a new console. They have to trade in their old console, and by doing this model you can't trade in your PS3 to get a PS4 because then you won't be able to play your PS3 games.
And you want me being honest because I know a lot of some people are all on the Wii wagon. But for those gamers who did adopt the Wii, one of the biggest things that helped the Wii is, number one, it was backwards compatible with the GameCube, and number two is they introduced the Virtual Console.
And you want to know the funniest part about that?
Well, Sony has its own version of the Virtual Console because they're going to be because the thing with the backwards compatibility, if you can play your PS3 games on it by buying them on the store, then that means it can emulate the PS3. And because of the store, that automatically means it can probably emulate the PS2 and PS1 as well. I know they don't sell any PS2 games on the store, but they do sell PS1 games. So they could turn this into a giant PlayStation box, and in theory, it would be a good buy. But the lack of backwards compatibility for discs means it's still not worth the initial investment.
Yeah. And see, I know, like I said, I was starting a little bit of a tangent, and I just shut up. When people adopted with the Wii U early, sure, you may not have been able to afford certain games, but you at least had that backwards compatibility to go back to your Wii and your Virtual Console stuff. Sony, get with the fucking program!
Yeah, and it's the thing that backwards compatibility is usually what gets gamers to switch over on day one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I can trade in my old console, my old, controllers. I can trade in all my old accessories minus the games and go and buy the new console, get all the updated hardware, all the updated accessories that I want or need to start out with, and then can wait until I have the money to expand my gaming collection with some of the new titles and with other accessories and whatnot. Yeah. But a lot of people can't afford that first get-go because, like, for example, like Eddie's a college.
I'm still
games is a great thing. I work part-time and have bills and rent to pay and whatnot, so I can't afford to just go out and get it right away. I'd probably have to trade in a majority of my gaming collection or one of my consoles to help in order to get it if I was going to get it day one. I'll just preface this now for the rest of the conversation so that in case PlayStation fanboys are listening, I do not hate PlayStation, but I am not impressed with the PlayStation 4 as of right now.
And it's the same reason why I was not impressed with the PS3. There was nothing to really make you go out and say, I must get a PS3. They took the backwards compatibility out. They made the console too expensive. And as much as I like the PS1, the PS2, the PS3 was never feasible to me. And as the console generation wore on, it continued to not be feasible.
Plus, they put too many eggs into the Blu-ray handbasket. They were like, we'll sell this on... Like, in Europe, when selling the PS3, they sold it as a Blu-ray player that also played games. That was their big selling point over there. It's like, Blu-ray is nice, but ultimately, it didn't win them any fans. Like, the PlayStation fans who were already fans liked the Blu-ray. The people who weren't PlayStation fans didn't buy the PS3 because of Blu-ray.
Yeah, and because the whole thing is, and we still have this, is you have a lot of people who are not adopting Blu-ray. People are sticking with DVDs. I'm sorry.
I don't see that as a sticking point, though, because Blu-rays are better in every respect. So I think we'll probably see Blu-ray technology going into more things. Like, I have 2 Blu-ray drives in my computer right now. So I see it being the thing that's going forward. It's just, at the moment, with games, we don't need to. So it's not a selling point.
And the thing, I'm going back to backwards compatibility. The thing is, we are the reason why backwards compatibility is a must is we are no longer in those console generations where we are relying on cartridges anymore. We now are using disc technology, which means we should be able to go back to past titles, at least, like I said, the last console generation. And Sony, that was, like I said, it was the big selling point, and they've lost touch with what made the PS2 so great.
Here's the other thing with that is, even if it's not all the titles, take the top selling titles or the top rated titles for your system specifically, and at least bring those over. So, like, just to name a few, you'd probably want to bring over Borderlands, you'd probably want to bring over the Ratchet and Clank games, you'd probably want to bring over BioShock, Uncharted, the God of War games you'd probably want to bring over.
The Last of Us, because it'll be released by the time that the new PS4 comes out.
Correct, The Last of Us. I'm trying to think of other ones that are coming out. Crysis.
Yeah.
Just came out. Dead Space 3. Like, there's a lot of games that everyone loves and will go back to and play over and over and over again because they love those games. But without backwards compatibility, they aren't going to be able to get that system right away. And here's the thing. A system is usually judged by its beginning sales. So, like, the first week that it's out, how many sales does it get? Working in a retail situation where we do sell consoles, that's how we judge them. If we don't buy them ourselves, we have to go, and if customers ask, hey, have you heard anything about it? We can go, hey, well, in comparison, it sold really well this week because, they had sent us this many units and we only have 1 or 2 left. Or, yeah, we sold 1 or 2, but we've still got like 20 that we're sitting on. And it's the end of the first week that it's been launched. Like that's how we have to judge it if we can't pick it up ourselves, because most of us are part-time. So if we don't actually know, we can only go by how our sales are doing on it.
And not only that, your game system is going to be just, that's how it's going to be judged in the beginning. And the later part of the generation, you're looking at the software that's been for that system. If you can have a really solid software lineup with your system from start to end, your console normally wins the quote-unquote war. The reason I say quote-unquote is because this war is only among head-up-their-ass fanboys. And,
in the end,
which is why I don't understand this, because I want to wrap us up here. The PS3, any way you look at it, if you look at it as day one sales, the Wii, or just overall sales, the Wii won the war. But if you look at it as software, the 360 won the war. But at no point can you divide the pie that you see the PS3 sitting on top, other than being the most powerful console. So you would think that they would look at what they did wrong this generation and say, okay, this is our strategy for the next generation. But we're not seeing that. They're saying, okay, we made a bad decision last time, let's go for broke and make as many bad decisions as we can this time. Yeah. Only time will tell, but I don't think this is going to go well. And ultimately, it might push Sony just out of making consoles, because 2 generations of horrible decisions is not going to garner faith in anyone.
I mean, look at what happened to Sega.
I was about to mention that.
Exactly. Sony, I don't want to see you disappear, but I'm not going to buy a bad system. Get your head out of your ass. We've been the gaming booth.
Wait.
What?
I've only had one more thing left, and that was the whole being able to give your friend control of your character while in game, because you two are online and, hey, I'm stuck here. Can you help me?
Why didn't you mention this during your thingamabob? You keep on forgetting. Oh yeah, I had another point. Oh yeah, I had another point. Oh yeah,
I remember every now and again. My memory is just sometimes spotty.
This is why you take physical notes.
You don't use Twitter for your notes.
We are the Facepalm Gaming Podcast.
Woo!
Good night.